And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the LiuLi Cup, the LiuLi Cup 2025 Grand Finals playoffs. We just caught up with the first half of the broadcast with the initial series with a best of 5 between Rainer, Cure, also best of 5 between Clem and Maru. Some amazing matches, some high profile and very aggressive back and forth between our two players. But now we have the second half of the broadcast. We have 2 series left, more best of 5s, of course. Up next is going to be Trigger versus Rogue to advance on into the semi-finals. Here we go. This is going to be a rematch against Trigger and Rogue. They did face off previously a couple of weeks ago, and Trigger did bring him down. Trigger's been looking like a beast as of late, improving in all 3 matchups, to be honest, to be fair, and I'm going to be favoring him coming into our next series. We'll see how Rogue can hold his own. Again, Rogue has expressed himself as well that he does play and practice less than he used to back in the day. He has been less motivated. Hopefully that changes soon. This is something that is applicable to both Rogue and to SOS as well, where they're both like these big champions from back in the day, but are not as kind of as motivated as they once were to kind of like to compete, to improve, and to play in whatever they can. So we'll see if that leads way for the next generation, for this younger blood to kind of rise up in their stead. We'll see. We shall see, as we're going to be loading into game 1, going to be loading into 10,000 feet. Let's go. So we have our PVZ. And I'm ready for shenanigans. I'll be honest. That's what I'm expecting. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of 10,000 feet, we have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Basilisk. It is a Trigger. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player, the South Green Zerg representing Team Falcons. It is Rogue. Here we go. We are here. We are back. We are jumping into our best of 5, and eyes are on Rogue for the most part. From the side of Trigger, I do expect to see some standard play. He does deviate from time to time into, say, early glaives or early charge, but for the most part, we should be seeing a standard opener out of Trigger building up into a 4-way setup, especially on 10,000 feet. Meanwhile, from Rogue, we are expecting something more aggressive, and there are a lot of aggressive options. To be fair, in the current meta, we have been seeing a lot of 3-base all-ins. 3-base all-ins are the standard. They're the go-to, and that's what we expect out of Rogue. Can Rogue kill Trigger before he stabilizes and before he gets in towards his ideal army into the mid game and in towards the late game? So the pressure is going to be on Rogue. Pressure is on. Trigger does poke out. And so far it is going to be a standard hatch gas pool, standard opener out of Rogue, nothing crazy, nothing wild. He's forced to take the unnatural natural. Also important to take note that he does take the linear third base instead of the forward third, so that means that creep is going to be spreading across the map slower than otherwise. So this kind of takes away from the idea of potentially going for a German taxi, for example, or a 2-base all-in. At least that's the kind of like perception we're getting here, based on the expansion. Otherwise, we're calming down. From here, we should be seeing a Stargate opener out of Trigger. From the Stargate, you do have a lot of options, whether you want to go into early Blink, early Charge, early Glaives, or a standard game instead. Trigger will have options. Of course, Trigger, he has been flaunting and flexing a new 2-base all-in as well, which we saw at Home Story Cup against Rainer, where Trigger, he 2-0'd Rainer. He 2-0'd Rainer not too long ago, going for these crazy all-ins, specifically on Tourmaline. Like, Tourmaline was the map where it worked best at, where it was like a 4-gate Blink all-in, right? It was 4-gate Blink. It's crazy. And it worked twice, 2 games in a row. And I believe we saw something similar out of Zaun as well. I believe Zaun has also been sprinkling it in as well. Which we also saw versus Rainer, fun fact. For now, there's that Stargate. And we're waiting for our unit of choice, whether it's Oracle or Void Ray. Based on the rally, it looks like an Oracle opener out of our Protoss. Void Rays can help hunt down Overlords, deny vision, deny scouting. But so far looks standard. Tepek's in, gets one. And does pick up 1 drone, not bad. Does shade away. Shades back, shades away. Remember, 2 adepts, they can one-shot drones. Once again, do threaten the dive. They're keeping Rogue busy. They do keep him busy. Oracles are on the way. Elves, they do race back home to defend the third. And they are in position. And they make it home in time. Ooh, so Queens are ready. They're ready. The hull damage here on the Oracle, not bad. It's a lot of hull damage. I believe only one drone kill so far. So Rogue is successfully holding onto his economy. Oh. Will be denied some lava though. And that is an earlier Twilight Council. Okay, so we have a slightly earlier council into Forge. This can lead into early Blink and +1. Otherwise, we could lead into early Charge. Two options here. So that's two options. Early charge-based fields can punish a greedy player, and Rogue is going lair first. Okay, very fast lair. No Evo Chamber, no Roach Warren. Rogue is cutting corners. But usually this should lead into like a later Roach Warren into Roach Hydra, typically. Oh my god, his Oracle barely gets away on 2 HP. Barely pulls out. Gases are being taken. There is a build that Sol has been quite fond of. It's a little bit old school, but going into like a Hydra all-in, going into basically fast Hydra Den. Evo Chamber gets thrown down. Gases are being taken. Rogue is being so greedy, getting up to 6 gases. Jesus. With 6 gases, Spire play is now an option. What's it going to be? Fast Hydra Den or fast Spire? It's going to be one or the other. Meanwhile, +1 Blink is on the way. If this was Charge, I do feel like Trigger could be able to punish Rogue. But Trigger's going for a standard build, which will benefit Rogue, actually. Yeah, Rogue does benefits. Oracles, they confirm the Hydra Den. So big scout out of Trigger. And again, Trigger can't really punish this. Now he's taking up, going for the Templar Archives, into Storm, into Archons. So we're taking up into the mid-game. Trigger does pull back home. Now, Rogue does have a timing available to him. He's running up really hard up to 3 bases on 64 workers. He was very, very greedy in the process. Now joining up a little bit harder here. But we'll see if he takes, and the answer is yes. Okay, so Rogue, in being greedy, he's taking up even harder. I'm concerned that Trigger's being too passive. Trigger, he's been very, very passive so far this game. I mentioned earlier about the lack of charge, but even now, you know, he's droning, he's not being active with the Stalkers, and Rogue has been so greedy, droning up so hard, barely making any units to defend, and now rushing into Lurkers and rushing into Hive Tech. This Lurker timing is going to hit very, very strong because it's so fast, because Rogue has been so greedy. Like, this is the army. 4 Hydras. That's it. And now 5 Hydras. But if there was any Stalker pressure out of Trigger, he would have forced out units, picked off Hydras, potentially even picked off drones. Like, Trigger's been so defensive and so passive himself that Rogue is allowed to get away with this. He's getting away with it, man. Getting away with it. If you remember, Rogue was very fond of this style. This was back, what, 2 years ago during the Amygdala map pool? During Amygdala. That was when Rogue first kind of like came back. I think this was around the time where he beat Clem at Star Zagora. Where Rogue, his go-to build in ZvP, and it's what he did every game, was rush into Lurker. It was just rush Lurkers every game. That map pool was more conducive to it because there were a lot more defensive and larger maps. I would say that in this map pool there are a lot more smaller maps and it's more difficult to pull this off. But I mean, Trigger is being hyper defensive here. Trigger now working towards Skytoss. Again, there's going to be a window in time where Rogue can hit with his Lurkers before Skytoss is ready. So I will say that Rogue, he has momentum currently. And it's on Trigger to buy time for his Tempest and Carriers. Unfortunately, Trigger, he didn't scout, right? He doesn't know. He's unaware of what's going on. Ranged lurkers, they can get behind this ravine and they can actually lay siege upon the mineral line. Now we finally see 8 minutes in, Trigger, he's poking out a little bit. Throwing down more cannons, more shield batteries, Tempest production has begun. Say Kasansky. LiuLi says a lot of things. As lurkers are building up. So far, nice contamination here on the Stargate. Rogue does confirm the Sky Toss is coming. Rogue does respond with his Spire. So Spire is on the way. He's droning up to 97. A very high drone count here for Rogue. And we're going to slow things down. Rogue could have made the decision here to be more active and more aggressive to try to force the issue here at the center expansion. But instead, we're just throwing down Spine Crawlers, Spores. We're building up and embracing the map. And lurkers are revealed to Trigger, he's stuck at home. And it's going to be all about Trigger perfecting his army. It's going to be all about Rogue engulfing the map. And more importantly, Rogue, he needs these center expansions. Center left and center right. He does need them. He has to do the best he can to spread as much creep as possible. Nice revelation. Trigger picking up a couple of key units here and there. There's one cannon in the main. Leading the attempt to harass. There's the Ultra Cavern. Oh, nice Zealot run by. Okay. Zealot comes up the expansion. This hatchery will go down. Yeah, nice pick up here by Trigger. Kills an expansion. Posturing in the center. Denying creep. And if Trigger, if he can take over the center of the map, he can actually lay siege upon this mineral line. He can hit that center base. Nidus into the main. Lurker counterattack across the map. Trigger, does he recall? Uh-oh. And there it is. Yeah, it does recall towards the main. Lurkers, they threaten that expansion. 11 probes going to be going down. Tempest, they deal with the Nidus. Sorry, they deal with the Lurkers. Not bad. Nice splitting of army here, actually. Very nice. Probes are still going down, though. Oh, no, the probes. Oh, my God. 27. 27 probes go down, and the Lurkers, they waddle away. They do waddle away. Another Nidus into the natural. Shouldn't get much done. Lurkers, they pull out. Oh, and that was 5 Lurkers. 5 Lurkers going down for 28 probes. Not a bad trade here for Rogue. Lings, they pour into the natural. Not sure if Trigger did notice. More Lings here on the left-hand side as well. Yeah, Trigger has nothing at the natural. And Rogue is just buying time. He's just buying time as he builds up his Corruptors. So he needs those Corruptor upgrades. Rogue does on borrow. Force in the middle line. Cannons are too late. Oh, that's going to be another 9 probes going down almost instantly. And nice damage. Means they dip into the main. Dip into the main base. They do catch the initial forge. The Lurkers, they bust into the natural. Ay, ay, ay. It's getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand here. Trigger didn't really pay this much mind. He gets punished for it. As Lurkers, they pop off another 17 probe kills. I'm a little bit concerned that Rogue has yet to expand in the center, though. But this is really nice harass. I think he might just kill the expansion. And Nidus Worms, they continue. More Lings in the main. Trigger's just getting torn apart. He just cannot keep up. And that base is solo. He gets it. One more volley. Automaster the Nexus does go down. Massive pickup. Again, 31 probe kills and the expansion. And this is less about killing Trigger, more so. Oh, as we even force out some storms. God. And more so just about crippling. Just crippling Trigger, keeping him low. Rogue, he's perfecting his army. He's got 12 corruptors, still lacking some upgrades. He only has +1. There we go. Second Spire is on the way to confirm and build up those upgrades instead. Rogue's main army still isn't in the place where it needs to be to kill Trigger, so he's still working on it. Still working on it. Getting +2, more ultras. As Rogue is oversaturated. I was curious just because he hadn't quite saturated his left-hand side base. And Rogue's economy isn't amazing yet. Yeah, building up more lurkers. Likewise, Trigger is going to be slowing things down. What's important is that Trigger, he still be able to retake these expansions. This is why I mentioned previously that the really big important thing for Rogue is to take over the center of the map, and that hasn't happened yet. These bases are still up for grabs. So as Trigger slows things down, as both players slow things down, these bases could still belong to the Protoss, which is terrifying. As Trigger is stabilizing, again he's building up a more efficient army. Nice on the left hand side. Overlord is caught out. As now we're getting into Flux Veins, Mass Void Ray. That's going to be the answer to the Corruptors. And are we really missing anything? Okay, so 6 Tempests, decent counts. We have 8 Archons, 5 Immortals. Mothership is out. 6 High Templar. I mean, yeah, Trigger, he's got it. He's got his Death Ball. Recalling on top of the lurkers. Uh-oh. Yeah, Slow Zone does catch him out. Gonna be losing 1. As Ultras, they threaten to dive on the right-hand side. The army, yeah, it's a little bit mismanaged. So the Immortals, they need to be in position for the Ultras. As we rotate back over. Another Nidus on the right-hand side. Ultras, they get caught out. They're losing 1 Ultra. Rogue is going to be careful. Because they move back in on left-hand side. Now the Mothership recall is on cooldown. I believe there is still a base recall though. As Lurkers are moving in. There's that Mothership. Mothership does defend. Likewise, nice from here behind the natural. Trigger does notice. This is a scary thing about being maxed out. As you can see here, Trigger can only warp in 1 Zealot as he was maxed. So far handling himself well. He takes down the center base. Trigger pushing through the center. Is he being a little bit too cavalier though? He's deep on creep. He's gonna be careful. But Rogue is out of position. Trigger, he rotates, kills an expansion. Nice pick off here by Trigger. Rogue cannot engage. Not into this area. Oh, abducts 1, abducts 2 Tempest. Gets 2. 2 Tempests go down. The base on the right hand side does survive. Trigger, he defended very well. So impressive defense out of Trigger, takes down a base, and now we can rotate. And the win condition for Trigger is deny this base on the left and the center base on the right. If we can just keep rotating, keep denying those bases, then Rogue will eventually peter out. Assuming that Trigger can take more expansion himself. Speaking of, fresh base for Trigger. Nice on the left-hand side. The side defense here will help, and we do have a high infestor count as well. I believe Neural, yep, Neural is done. Neural is researched. This Trigger's moving in. Does get a free Ultra. Here come the Fungals though. Yeah, catching up the army. No responsive feedbacks. Ultras are breaking on through here. They get on top of the Archons. They're getting on top of the High Templar. Oh, getting one, getting two, getting three. There's still a couple of Templar left. With that Trigger barely holds on. At the same time, Lurkers are moving in, but they're going to be denied. Yeah, Lurkers are denied. Trigger, he defends back at home. But he has to back off. Okay, they bled out a lot of Archons. Bled out 5 Archons in that fight. So he lost his Archons. He lost 3 Immortals as well. That's why the Ultra Remax is so important, to capitalize on the lack of ground army. Trigger making 4 Tempest. He's building up his Tempest counts. We're still lacking Archons. Oh, speaking of, here they come. So Archons are being replenished. You see Rogue ready for the dive. Trigger, he should not be out here. Yeah, the Ultras, they collapse in. A massive Fungal. Getting us over the High Templar. And the Ultras, they should overwhelm. Yeah, they're breaking through the ground army. Likewise, Corruptors. There's not quite enough in the sky. And not quite enough Corruptors. Ground army goes down. What about all the Tempest, though? True. The Tempest survive. The Sky Toss. Yeah, just too many Ultras, not enough Corruptors. We have 16 Corruptors on the way. So a bit of a back and forth as Ultras are being picked up. I still do favor Rogue here just because his Remax hits faster. Rogue is remaxing as we speak. A Trigger, he needs time to rebuild his ground army. He needs more Archons. He needs them. Forced to recall. A bit of an overreaction. He heard the Nidus Worm, and I was a little bit perplexed myself. That's a little bit dangerous. That means that the recall's on cooldown. Oh. Yeah, recall is on cooldown. Trigger, we gotta calm down, Patrick. Gotta calm down. Lurkers, they move in. Rogue is going. He's going for it. He's going for the dive. Does pull the trigger, collapsing on the Tempest. And this time we have plenty of Corruptors. Plenty of Corruptors. Tempests are going down one after the other. Are there enough Archons to defend? We're down to 2 Archons. Down to 1. Oh my god. And with that, no more Sky Toss. And we're kind of switching back and forth here, where Rogue, he does kill the Tempest except bar 1, but Trigger does win the battle on the ground. Does win the battle on the ground. We have 9 Ultras on the way. Wait, isn't it Great Aspire? Okay, there is. Okay, I was about to say, I was like, why are there no Broodlords? This would be the time. Ultras, they struggle against Mass Immortal. We have how many? We have 9 Immortals. I'm not sold on this. I'm not sold on this choice, but we'll see. As Rogue does have that Greater Spire. Like, the previous Ultra switches made sense because there were barely any Immortals on the ground, but now we have 9. So Trigger, he has the answer. At least he should. There we go. 7 Broodlords on the way. They're going to be a little bit delayed. At the same time, probes going to be going down. 13 probes do fall. Zealots also get across the map. Rogue does save his mineral line, does borrow. Man, that's a lot of workers going down. Did we ever make Broodlords? There's only 6 Corruptors. This is the downside of going both Broodlord and Ultra. I mean, it might work out, but there's basically the majority of the supply here is invested into anti-ground. This is a very heavy anti-ground army with minimal Corruptor and mainly Broodlord Ultra. The problem here is we're switching back into Tempest production. We're making 3 Tempests at a time. I do like this. Okay. Ultras, they commit in. I like the idea of throwing Ultras away and replacing that supply with Corruptors. Broodlords, they react here to the aggressing army. Rogue trying to reestablish that center base. Trigger doing the same. Ultras get affected by slow zone. Ultras, they have a certain like passive effect, right? It's called like, is it unstoppable, unbreakable? Where certain status effects don't influence Ultras. Is it unbreakable? It's unstoppable. Something like that. Oh, nice fungal, catching out the Tempest. Yeah, Tempest getting called out. Corruptor's getting 1, 2, 3 Tempests. Nicely done. Yeah, Tempest, they did overextend. Massive pickoffs. Oh god, the storms though. Jesus. Oh my god, the Corruptors, they get annihilated. Yeah, there's barely any Corruptors left. We have another storm. We do. We have one alas. Ultras, they commit in. They're breaking through the Immortals. So yeah, barely any Immortals left. Broodlords, they pop up, Ultras as well, and Rogue is done. He breaks through the entire army. There's still some Skytoss left over though. The Tempest, they reign supreme. We're getting messy. We're getting very messy here. If you recall, we did criticize Rogue earlier for just not having enough Corruptors. Too many Ultras, too many Broodlords. Tempest, they reign supreme for now, but we have 6 more Corruptors on the way. We have Void Rays here to reinforce. Rogue, can he get the Tempest? Can he get him? Gets 1. There's 2 Tempests. Sorry, there's 3 Tempests left. Down to 2. Lings, they overwhelm though. They take down the expansion. No mining here for Trigger. Trigger, he's broke. He has no money. And same with Rogue. Rogue, he has 1 mining base here on the right hand side. If you notice, Rogue, he has burned through all of his gas. He needs his gas geysers to get up and running. And if he can rebuild and remax with more Corruptors. Okay, he needs those gas geysers. Same time, Trigger pushing on the right hand side. There are currently 8 Corruptors. Let's catch one of the Voids. Lings, they do flood in. Knocking down to the base. That's a kill. That's a kill on the Nexus. And Lings, they just keep rolling in. As Rogue has burned through his bank. But Lings, they do well enough. Ensuring the Trigger has no money, right? He has no money. He has no income. And Rogue, he should be taking a lead in this series. It's been an intense back and forth. Both players, they had their moments, of course. They had their moments. In the end, Trigger just could not maintain his bases. He could not defend the fringe expansions. Could not maintain his economy. Yeah, screw up as they collapse in. The Queens as well. Let's go. Even a couple of Hydras. A little bit of everything. Yeah, the Hydra Queen Corruptor army. All the anti-air. GG gets called, and Rogue, it takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Rogue, is it Frenzy? Is that it? GG, well played. Rogue, he does take a lead in the series, does take game number 1. Again, an intense back and forth here. As you mentioned, Trigger, he just could not maintain his expansions. He could not maintain his economy, whether it was the center right base or the center left base or the bottom right expansion. Trigger just could not take those bases, could not maintain his economy, could not get them up and running. GG. GG, well played. Eventually, he just ran out of steam, and Rogue, it takes the lead in this series. Let's go. Let us go, as that leads us into game number 2, and we'll see if Trigger can bounce back. We'll see if Rogue can extend his lead. Again, that was a very long, very intense game number 1 here. We saw that Rogue early on was able to punish Trigger and force him to spend his resources, of course, referring to the mass Nidus worms. Like, there was a lot of Nidus play there, and Trigger had a really hard time stabilizing. He eventually did, but he sustained a lot of losses in the process. But let's go. Spawning in the top right hand corner of Celestial Enclave, we have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the blue Zerg representing Team Falcons. It is Rogue. Let's go. Let us go. So we do have our openers, and speaking of longer and later games, welcome to Celestial Enclave. This map is also known for being hyper greedy, for cutting corners and embracing sky toss. Oh boy. So there's a very high chance that we might end up in the same situation in a similar position. What I will say though is the bases are a little bit more defendable here, so it's easier to maintain your 5 and 6 base setup. Easier here on Celestial than on other maps. Oh boy. So I would imagine that Rogue doesn't want to end up in the late game. I would imagine that Rogue, even if he's greedy and even if he does go for a lurker rush, I would imagine he wants to be more aggressive and more assertive and try to end the game earlier instead. The maps do play a big role. 10,000 feet, of course, was a smaller map. Aggression is favored there, and we did see Rogue pop off with Ling Run by his Ling kite attacks, Nidus Worms as well, just all over Trigger. I would say it's more difficult to achieve that here on Celestial, but we'll see. We shall see. Trigger does pull away. For now, once again, we have a Stargate opener out of Trigger. Opening up Stargates, opening up most likely Oracle once again. Last game, we did see Trigger go into an earlier +1 and Blink build, but he didn't really make use of it. That was our big criticism of Trigger, is that Rogue was being so greedy last game, and Trigger was being very passive. It was being very, very passive in the first quarter of game 1. It allowed Rogue to join up to 90 very quickly and to take up into lurkers and hive tech very quickly as well. Abnormally fast. It's one of the reasons why Rogue had so much momentum early on as well. For now, Rogue going for his third base, pulling out of gas, droning, saturating. Trigger does poke in. Does go into the shade. Oh, he gets surrounded. He gets 1, 2, getting up to potentially only two workers. That was not quite worth it for Trigger. That does mean the third base of Trigger is going to be exposed. Here comes a Ling counterattack, and we'll see if Rogue can get some damage done, or at least force the Oracles to stay at home. Yeah, so a rough shade. Lings, they poke in. Force against on the pylon, so nice damage. They go back in, they might get a probe kill. Oh, he wants it. Oh, not quite. Pulse Opening gets activated. Again, Rogue is forcing the Oracle to stay back at home, forcing the Oracle to spend energy defensively as well. As energy is being burned. And this time Rogue is going Evo Chamber first. Okay. So Rogue, he does change his build. Early Evo Chamber should be early plus on melee. If you recall what happened last game Rogue went for a 4:30-ish lair timing. So last game Rogue went lair first, this time +1 first. Alongside a safety Roach Warren, okay. Ooh. As the link does slip into the main, that should not have happened. Gets a free scout. Gets eyes on the Twilight Council. Gets eyes on the Forge. So it does see the follow-up. When it comes to Rogue's build, typically rushing into the early Eva chamber does scream +1 melee, but it also screams Ling Hydra. There is a safety Roach Warren, of course. True, there is a safety Roach Warren, but in my mind, it's only for safety, just to make sure that Rogue doesn't die to Glaive Adepts or to early charge. This also means that Rogue isn't going into a fast Lair, fast Hydras, fast Lurker tech. It's a much more standard build this time at a Rogue. He's not being anywhere near as greedy. Ooh, as the Oracle does overextend, brutal pick-off. The Oracle does go down. Oh, catching a Stalker. Not bad. Yeah, Stalker is called out. I say that the battery does keep... Never mind. Battery keeps it alive. Rogue pulled away. Oh, and I assume it's going to be Ling into Hydra. It's going to be Ling into a Spire. Let's go. Now, Spire play is more viable on this map. Remember, this is a very large map in the map pool, longer rush distance by ground, defendable bases, but Mutas can bypass that defense. So Rogue is rushing Mutas. Trigger is unaware. Trigger, he already lost one of the Oracles. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, he already lost one. He has limited vision, limited scouting. And the Trigger isn't ready for this. The Mutas, they can pop off. They can in the game. Mutalists have a lot of potential here in the matchup. And now it makes more sense why we have Roach Speed on the way as well, which we just cancelled. Never mind. The cancellation of Roach Speed tells us that there's a high chance that Rogue is going to go mass Muta. It's going to go not just Muta to harass, but going to commit and double down and not stop making Mutas. So no more Roach Speed, plus 2 melees on the way. It's going to be Ling Muta. And Trigger still doesn't know. Oh my god. Yeah, still has no idea. Nice and out here of the expansion. Rogue collapsing in, gets us around. Denies one. Yeah, forcing out one of the Archons. And he wants the other as well. Massive pickoff. Storm is going to be heavily delayed. Even killing one of the Archons as well. And this does mean that the Mutas are going to have more free reign. This all means the anti-air is that much weaker. Storm is done, but there's no Storm ready. Trigger does poke out, catches on the Zerglings. Mutas are on the way. There's going to be 8 Mutas so far, up to 12, up to even more. Remember, this is going to be mass Muta out of Rogue. Lings are distracting. Stalker's out of position. Main base is exposed. And Mutas are revealed. Diving into the main. Gets 1, 2, 3 pro kills so far, just trading with the Stalkers. Brings one down. And he just kills them all. Yes. He just turns and fights. Phoenix production has begun. Nice spin control here by Trigger. He pulls away. So far, no major damage, but another Stalker goes down. No, the Lings! They flood into the mineral line. Ay, ay, ay. And they flood in. 8 more probes. Getting to 9, 10, 11. Getting up to 12. Crazy damage. Catching out of Phoenix. And this is already getting hand. It's getting out of hand. Getting out of control. Oof. As the cannon was denied earlier, the Lings, they just keep flooding in. They just run past the army. In towards the main base. And this is just how brutal Mutas can be if they go unscouted. And again, it was on Trigger losing that first Oracle. Losing HP on the other as well. So just limited vision, limited scouting. It's going to be 18 probe kills. Lings, they bust into the natural. They kill the Nexus. And this is game-ending damage at this point. Game-ending damage. Behind this, Rogue can start to take up it towards Hive Tech and then go into Ultras. That's usually like the end game here. But otherwise, just Mass Muta can work fine anyway. This can still just be fine. Oof. Storm zones away. Link's getting another expansion. They get another base. Trigger behind this is making 3 Phoenixes at a time, and he can maybe try to build up an anti-Stalker army, but it's not about this. Sorry, anti-Muta army, but it's not about the Mutas anymore. It's about the economy. It's about everything else. Oof. That's going to be another 9 dead probes, even just now going for the Stargate. Oof, catching a Phoenix, catching 2 Phoenixes go down. Takes down the Stargate, depowers all the other Stargates as well. Limited Phoenixes. GG gets called, and Rogue takes a 2-0 lead in the series. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Cheeky moves here by Rogue, going into Mutas, rushing into Mutas, and again, Trigger was unable to scout, unable to confirm. Trigger, he lost his first Oracle to the Spore, if you remember. That means limited vision, limited scouting, means he had that much less to confirm what the hell was going on. And even his second Oracle took a lot of hits as well. So he was playing very blind, playing very, very blind. He was very much so in the dark as to what was happening. He was blindly getting ready for a standard game, but there was no standard game. GG. GG, well played. With that, we have Game 3 up next. Potentially the final game of the series. Rogue needs one more win here to claim the series. Trigger has to fight back here and now to make a series out of this and to force a Game 4 and maybe even an ace match. Let's go. Whew, let us go. As again, Trigger, he's being denied any kind of standard play, and we're expecting more of that here as well. Oh boy. As spawning in the bottom hand corner of the Old Republic, we have the Canadian Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Zerg player. We have the Blue Zerg representing Team Falcons. It is Rogue. Here we go. So Cellians in Game 3, and once again, I will say that this is a larger map of the map pool, not as defensive as Celestial Enclave, so there's not going to be as much pressure on Rogue to be hyper aggressive. If you remember, we were theorizing Rogue being aggressive and going for an all-in last game because of how defensive the map is, but Mutaplay was an answer to that, right? Mutaplay was, you know, kind of something hitting out of left field, and was a way to be hyper aggressive to slow down Trigger before he could really build up into his game. On the Old Republic, I would say that the third base is more open. I would say that it's less necessary to go into Mutas. You can still be very successful aggressively on 3 bases on this map. Again, the third base is very open. The fourth base is very open as well. We do see a lot of successful 3-base all-ins from Zerg players on the Old Republic. True. Mutaplay is still an option on this map, but again, I don't think it's as required as it would be on Celestial, for example. Here we go. I'd say that Rogue has more options here, more so than on the previous map. So now once again, Stargate opening out the Trigger, opening up Stargate, opening up Oracle. We're going to claim a third. And again, Trigger just wants to play a standard game. He just just wants to play some StarCraft, papi. Ay. That's all he wants. Again, in my mind, there's a high chance that Rogue does cut workers at 3-base saturation, but we'll see. But now he's droning. He's saturating. As Trigger once again, he went into the mineral line. This time a better positioning out of Trigger. He does pick off 4 Zerglings. And I believe 1 drone. Just Lings. Okay, just 4 Zerglings here. Rogue, he does handle this quite well. Doesn't lose any workers. Does defend. Now, because Trigger traded against the Zerglings, it means that there's less to counterattack across the map. So Trigger is getting his 3rd base up and running, and he shouldn't have to take this as seriously as last game. Lings they pick in. Does he get the pylon again? He shouldn't. Yeah. Pylon survives this time. Once again, early Evo Chamber. Once again, +1 melee. Now, last game, we assumed it was going to be +1 melee into Ling Hydra, and then bam, we saw the Roach Horn, and we saw the commitment into gases, and we saw the commitment into Mutaplay instead. So technically, mutas are also available here, but we're leaning more towards Ling Hydra. Leaning more towards Hydras here. I don't see mutas working 2 games in a row. Oof, as the Oracle takes a lot of hits. Ay, ay, ay. 2 drones go down. Trigger does hit the natural. Getting 1, getting 2 once again, taking a lot of hull damage here on the Oracle, barely gets away. Now, is Rogue tempted to go for a Spire again just because of how low HP the Oracles are? Does he have that temptation? Ooh, if he does though, charge. This time, not blink, early charge out of Trigger, going for an early charge timing. Now, if Rogue skips Roaches and if Rogue skips Banelings, Trigger can kill. So +1 melee into the lair. So it looks like Rogue is skipping on the Roach Horn and the Baneling Nest. If he's going, whether it's going to be Spire play or Hydra play, either one, Rogue is going to be in trouble. Now suddenly it's on Rogue to scout. Safety Baneling Nest. Never mind. Does get the safety Baneling Nest. End up safe on the shade. They confirm the Baneling Nest is on the way. We get a couple drone kills here. 3 drones go down. Some damage. Trigger behind this taking out. We have the Temple Archives on the way. That's going to be for Archons and for Storm, of course. But Trigger, he is cutting workers though. He's going for extra gateways. It looks like he's going for a 2-base, for a 3-base all-in. 8. Yeah, he's going for a 3-base 8-gate all-in. No gases here at the 3rd base, intentionally so. Zealots are not revealed yet. You see Trigger is keeping the Zealots pinned back. Keeping them hidden. Now he's taking gases though. Okay. Is this just for show? He is taking gases. Archons are morphing in. Getting up to 10 gateways. Jesus. That's a lot of gates, Pappy. It's a lot of gateways. I'm not sold on the fact that Trigger is going to actually saturate these gas geysers, but he does make a set of workers. Okay. Does make some probes. Here comes Trigger. He pulls the trigger, Pappy. And we have some Banelings across the map. Lings, they do scout, they do confirm. We need some defensive Banelings. Yeah, Rogue, he scouts the move out. Here we go, warping in up to 10 Zealots at a time. There we go, warping in 8. We have 2 more gateways finishing. Banelings, they waddle into the mineral line. And Trigger is forced to pull away. He's forced to pull away. A couple of defensive Banelings, no major connections. Nice tanking there with the Archon. The Zealots, they get into the mineral line, but we need more Zealots. We need more warp-ins. And here they come. Warping in 4 more Zealots. Again, Trigger, his economy here is stifled. He needs more minerals. He needs more warp-ins. This is slowing him down. He's being slowed down so heavily here. And Trigger, does he still barely have enough? He's getting himself with the Queens. You can see here Rogue running out of Transfuse. He's running out. As 3 Queens fall. But we need more warp-ins. Oh my god, just barely. Yeah, just barely in time. The Prism takes a lot of hits. Prism force back. Zealots taking some of the Queens. There's 1 Queen remaining. And GG gets called. GG gets called. Rogue, he does tap out. And Trigger fights back. GG. Whew, GG, well played. Again, as we mentioned, this early charge build or this 3-base all-in does hit very, very hard if your opponent is skipping out on roaches and banelings. We did see a couple of defensive banelings, but they were all tanked by the Archon. So nice positioning there by Trigger. I also was a little bit concerned that Trigger would not be able to reinforce in time. He was losing so much mining to the Ling run by in the counterattack. He was only, despite having 10 gateways, he was warping in 4 or 5 zealots at a time instead. So he was heavily slowed down there, but it was still not enough. Still broke through. GG. GG, well played. We have a series, we have a back and forth, and we'll see if Trigger can bring us all the way to game 5 as we load into Winter Madness. What were the vetoes? We're getting into some big maps. Jesus. Celestial Enclave, Winter Madness, and the Old Republic. Getting into all the larger maps, baby. Yeah. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Winter Madness, we have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss fighting back, putting a point on the board. It is Trigger. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Zerg player. We have the South Korean Zerg representing Team Falcons. It is Rogue. Let's go. Let us go. Once again, Trigger, he's back in this. Welcome to Winter Madness. Winter Madness is one of the larger maps in the map pool. Larger map, longer rush distance by ground. And as a result, I do actually favor Trigger here when it comes to building up in towards the mid game. If the plan is to get into the mid game, I do feel like Trigger will have an easier time here on Winter Madness. At the same time, thinking back on what happened in game 2, Muta play on Celestial Enclave, we could see Mutas here as well. Mutas are once again viable here on Winter Madness because the bases are so defendable. It can be difficult being aggressive, it can be difficult going for 3-base all-ins or going for Ling Hydra. So Mutas are seen with relative frequency here on this map as well. Let's go. As Trigger does go for the gate expand. Standard opener out of Trigger. Yes, from here we should be seeing standard openers. It's really coming into a longer game where we can start to deviate. Can start to deviate. As Link Speed is on the way, Rogi pulls out of gas, droning up his natural and soon claiming his third. Meanwhile, Stargate opener out of Trigger. It is viable, and we do see other Protoss players going to like Twilight Council openers or Rover openers. I'm thinking of Hero, I'm thinking of Creator, I'm thinking of Classic. But Trigger, he's just going for the same opener every game. Very standard Stargate. Stargate to Oracle. It is still possible for him to mix things up and go Void Ray. We have yet to experience that kind of opener here out of Trigger. So we'll see. We shall see. That's the Oracle is going to be on the way. And from here we can claim a third base, and then we can go into Blink or even Charge like we saw previously. Now I don't see Charge working 2 games in a row. It's usually something you do to catch your opponent off guard and to catch them being greedy. And hey, it worked. But it's not something you can reliably kind of fall back on. As Trigger does claim his third. Lings are moving into delay. Trigger depths are back at home. Oh no! Oh, the Lings they do surround. Trigger is called out. Adept should fall. Miscontrol here by Trigger. Ay, ay, ay. It does miscontrol. And we'll lose 1 Adept. just a small little win. Meanwhile, that is a much earlier Twilight Council and Forge compared to the third base timing. I want to say charge, but we'll see. Like, early +1 and blink is still seen every now and then. Speaking of, Eva Chambers on the way. Once again, just like last game, +1 melee, and a safety Roach Warren. Now, this is different. If you recall, last game, Rogue skipped his Roach Warren. This time, the Roach Warren is seen by the Oracle, so Trigger knows. Trigger knows that Rogue can make defensive Roaches as a reaction. And we have Blink on the way instead. Good call. Early charge won't be anywhere near as successful. Not against Roach. Now, once again, to reiterate, Rogue doesn't want to make Roaches. He's going into +1 melee. He's setting up for either Ling Hydra or Ling Muta. The Roaches are more a precaution just in case there's Nolan coming his way. Stasis Trap here at the third base. Rogue, he does react in time, does pull away. Let up safe threat in the shade. They get in towards the natural when they get into the mineral line. Nice movement here by Trigger so far, but Alas is going to get surrounded, and Rogue will defend. He does defend, bleeding out 2 drones. We're looking for a gateway explosion. So far, we're building up to 6 gateways, but Trigger should be taking gases soon. Oh. That's Rogue does catch a Stalker, not bad. We got 1 Stalker. Lings, they check saturation, they check gases. We have more Stalkers on the way, and I believe Rogue has yet to confirm the Stalker warp in. And now he does. Yeah, now he knows. Now Rogue is aware. Lings, let's slip by. Then I have some mining. Rogue rushing to a fast infestation pit. That I was not expecting. Huh. So if you remember, we were leaning towards 2 directions, either a +1 mass Ling into Hydra or into Spire. It's going to be into Infestation Pits. Okay. Is the plan Swarm Host? A Swarm Host is viable against Charge and against Archons, but not so much against Stalkers. Baliness is on the way. No, it wouldn't make sense. Swarm Host is usually coinciding with Roaches. Is he going Ling into Ultra? Is that the plan? Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's going Ling into Ultra. Okay, crazy. Okay. Now, if you remember Dark, this was a couple of years ago. As Lings, they will collapse in, they force a recall. If you watched Dark a couple of years ago on Ancient Cistern, this would have been 2022, maybe 2023, but the Ancient Cistern map pool, this was something that used to be a lot more common, going mass Ling into Ultra, and Dark was very fond of it. Dark was very fond of it. You'd see players like Raynor and Cyril doing it every now and then, but Dark was a big fan of Ling Ultra against Protoss. Typically, the way to pull this off is that you need to mass up Lings early like this on a 3-base setup. You need to maintain map control, and you need to deny the 4th base, right? Delay the 4th expansion, catch out the army, zone back Trigger. So far, done a good job at gaining map control and forcing back the Stalkers, but we have yet to really deny the expansions. If Trigger can catch wind of what's going on, then he can react and respond with a heavier Robo army, more Archons, and more Immortals as well. So far, Trigger's unaware. Hive is almost done. And there's that Ultra cap. So again, Ling into Ultra. Even though I say that we've seen this quite a bit in years past, in recent times, I can't recall the last time I've seen this, to be honest. Again, like Dark would do this like back in the day, like Cyril and Raynor would mix this in back in the day as well. But in modern year, like in 2026, 2025, it's been a while. It's been a while. I'm sure it happened maybe like once last year, but I can't just quite recall. Now, pre-Ultra, Rogue is a little bit vulnerable. Thankfully, does have some Banelings on the way. There's plenty of Banelings on the high ground. 18 more Banelings morphing in. And remember, Trigger doesn't know. Like, Trigger, he still doesn't really have an idea as to what's going on. He might think there are Hydras. Oh, no. Yeah, Charge, they phase check. They do phase check the Banelings. Zealots have to back off. They have to pull away. And Trigger is going for a Banelings that being spent here on the Stalkers. Zealous splits. Nice splits. Nice control. No more banelings. Wow, no more banelings. With that, we can just A move in. Zealous breaking on through. There's what, 2 banelings left. Lings are coming for the surround. And looks like Rogue barely has enough. He surrounds the army, cleans up all the Archons, and Rogue does hold on. Yeah, Trigger, he missed the warp in. Barely not enough. And now he's switching into double immortal production. So he knows. Trigger, even though he hasn't seen the hive, he hasn't seen the infestation pit. No, sorry, he did see the pit. Okay. He saw the pit, he sees the mass ling. Even though he didn't confirm the Ultra Cavern, he's played against this before. So mass immortal is a reaction. That is the correct call. So the Ultras will not be a surprise. It will not be a surprise. I do favor Trigger in this position as he takes a defensive stance. He's getting cannons, shield batteries, securing his 4th base. I will say that this area here at his 3rd and natural is more open and more vulnerable. But that's also what the main army is, true. And Trigger just has to turtle. He just has to turtle and calm down. Rogue, we'll see what he does once he realizes what's going on. For now, he's maxing out. He already has 3 ultras, building up towards 5. Oh, setting up for a Doom drop. Okay. This I like. Trigger, he's woefully under-defended here at the natural and in the main. Why would he be? Drop alerts are setting up. Rogue is coming. So chat, Y+ on shields. This is going to be a very Archon heavy composition. But here we go. Lings, they drop into the mineral line. Probe's going to be going down. Trigger out of position. And he's out of position here. Zealous, they try to warp in. They try to reinforce. Lings, they threaten another dive. And the Lings, they trade well. 13 probe kills. 13 probes, and they just keep coming. They keep on coming. Trigger, he's out of position. He's trying to respond, trying to race on over. And Rogue behind this is building up his bank. He's building up his bank. Building up more Archons, more Lings. They move out on the right-hand side. There is stack defense here to buy some time. As we need more High Templar, we need more Archons. We're building up. So I do like this reaction. I was going to say that either Rogue continues to just apply pressure and just hammer down these fringe bases and knock them down, or switch into Broodlords. Remember, there's no Sky Toss. There's no Sky Toss for Trigger. So taking to the skies here will be more beneficial here to Rogue instead. But it depends on how well this drop is handled. Rogue once again dropping into the natural. There we have 3 more Archons morphing in. As we mentioned, like, Archon's going to be crucial against the mass link composition. Ultra drop into the mineral line. Cannon goes down. Waiting to roll in. They attempt to. They do get 1 temp. Oh, not even. Templar survives, just barely. No, they moved him in. Jeez. Trigger, be careful. Cuidado, baby. Cuidado. Be careful. Yeah, 1 forge does full. I believe there's a 2nd forge, though. Yeah, getting +3. And Trigger, he's holding his defending, and I would favor Trigger if we had a Stargate and a Fleet Beacon, but the answer is we're still stuck on the ground, and Broodlords are now morphing in. Yeah, Broodlords are coming. And Trigger still has no idea, he's still hyperfixated on the ground army instead. And Trigger, he has no good answer. He has no blink. Sorry, he does have blink, but he has no blink stalkers. Archons, they defend against the Doom drop into the natural. You have how many Broodlords so far? 4, soon to be 7. Soon to be 7 Broodlords. They've yet to be revealed. Trigger getting 2 more Robos. Ay. Again, that could have been a Fleet Beacon and a Stargate. Ah, no. As we're building up to 7 immortals. Trigger, he does maneuver his army away. There is now an opening in the natural. Things are forced to cancel. I think Trigger may have F2'd everything. No. Okay, let's got some stalkers. Let's got a couple stalkers in position. Shuts down the bailing drop. Very nice. And lack of units here is concerning. Trigger's moving out. And again, this army would have a lot of potential if there just weren't any Broodlords. As here comes a counter drop. Broodlords are revealed. He knows. Yeah, he now knows. Ultras are coming in as well. Oh, God. As Trigger, he has to get the hell out of here and does pull away. He tries to pull away. And what's the plan? Trigger is maxed. The Broodlord count is getting higher and higher. The best that Trigger can hope for is just outposition, right? It's just avoid the Broodlords. Avoid the Broodlords, hit the northern base, hit the center expansion. That is what he's going for. Broodlords are trying to keep up. For the Archons, I suppose, yes, as we were trying to emphasize, shield upgrades do benefit Archons more than armor upgrades. Just because Archons are almost pure shields. And the Archons were a bigger part of the anti-Ling Ultra composition. But again, this army is almost being hard countered by the Broodlords. Broodlords are revealed, they're now moving in. There's how many? There's 13 Broodlords! Ay. Now we get the fleet beacon, but it's so late. Oh god, it's so delayed here. The Trigger. And recalls back home to defend. Broodlords are moving in. And again, I don't think this army can be stopped, I'll be honest. He's not going to be stopped. He's moving on forward here. Takes down 1, takes down 2 cannons. Pushing towards the expansion. Trigger, he does defend his main. He did recall back home. But the Broodlords are coming in. And they eviscerate the mineral line here. 19 probes going down. Takes down the expansion. At the same time, Trigger, he cannot fight this. He cannot fight the main army. He's going for the base raid. He's going for the base raid. He's trying. Broodlords, they race back home. Again, there's no rush for Rogue. Rogue, he just took down 1 base and he just took down another mineral line. So he does turn back around. Lings, they move in once again. And Trigger's just being bullied back. Into the main base as well. Okay, Trigger has built up a decent stalker count. This is his answer. Like, this is his answer here is mass stalker. If he can isolate these Broodlords, there's just so many though. There's 15. 15 Broodlords. Trigger is built up to 25 stalkers. Now again, the plan, the one win condition here is that Trigger, he's able to dive onto the Broodlords and reset them, right? Reset the Broodlord count. That's his one hope, his one chance. He's shocking around. Ultras, they bust into the main. Mothership does defend. Trigger pulls back. Oh, he pulls back home, and Broodlords, they almost catch him out, forcing a recall. Does force recall back home. One immortal gets caught. Again, Trigger, he cannot fight this. He has to try though. He's got 24 stalkers. No, don't get caught out. No. Yeah, stalkers are getting caught out by the ultras. Oof. Yeah, massive swipes. Stalkers are going down. Broodlords are coming from behind. And there are 17 stalkers left. It does go for the blink. Gets one. Gets 1, 2, 3 Broodlords. We're running out of stalkers. Yeah, we're running out of stalkers. That's all you got. 3 Broodlords went down. Archons are breaking through. Ah, they're trying. The Archons are trying to break through. Oh, free damage. Okay. The mothership. The mothership. Let's go. Free damage. There's no anti-air. Okay. Okay, let's go, mothership. Hunts down all the Broodlords. The main army's pushing in. Uh-oh. And we have 7 ultras on the way. Ultras cannot touch this. The ultra's not the answer. Trigger. Can he do it? Ultras are just melting. Ultras are just melt. 1, 2, 3 ultras going down for free. 4 ultras are just being thrown away. Ultras are not the answer. It's a ground army, pappy. The ultras, they do nothing. Broodlords are coming in. Again, the mothership has a lot of work to do. No, the queens! The queens are the answer! Mothership, get out of there! The mothership is zoned away. There's still how many? There's still 7 Broodlords. Ah! Mothership, get back here! We need you! He's going for the recall. Yeah, he's going for the recall. Takes down 1 base. Recalls over to the mothership. Yo, the king move would have been recalling on top of the queens. that would have been the king move. Is recall on top of the queens, go for the checkmate, kill the queens, and then have the mothership just go to town. How many queens are left? 5. There's 5 queens with the main army. Lings, they counterattack, they knock down the expansion, probes are going down. And Rogue has another answer, of course. If you noticed, Rogue does reinforce with Infestors. Infestors are going to be a better answer. I believe Neural... No, Neural! Oh, God. Oh, no. Never mind. Without Neural, these Infestors aren't as useful here. We need Neural, pappy. Thankfully, it should finish. Should finish up. There we go. We have a couple of corruptors on the way. Do we have any stalkers? I mean, Trigger's broke, right? Trigger, he doesn't really have an economy. We do have a fresh mining base here for Rogue. This is the only mining base, actually. True. We're in a really awkward position here. So Rogue is just parking everything here at his center expansion. Trigger, he could potentially go for like a base trade and kill all these buildings. He's moving out. He's leaving the mothership back at home, so he has a mothership recall. So he can recall his army back home to safety. I mean, he has a base recall as well. Mothership does defend. How many corruptors? 0? I mean, thankfully for Rogue, like with all these, the Neural is now done, like, right? Neural is done. He's got all these Infestors. Rogue, he still has a superior army and the superior composition. Now, whenever a fight happens, he can Neural all the Archons. He can Neural the Archons and turn the Archons against Trigger. He can also Neural the... I mean, he can Neural everything, except for the mothership, of course. Trigger, he has 4 High Templar. There is a world, if the armies clash, where Trigger can maybe feedback. But the problem is, like, we're kind of talking past the fact that we still have Mass Broodlord. And that's still superior to what Trigger has. Dealing with the Infestors is one thing, dealing with the Broodlords are the other. Like, the only real answer that Trigger has is the mothership, just because of the limited anti-air. But even then, we have now Queens in the mix, we have Spores in the mix as well. Is there a world, if Trigger can maintain this base and take top right, Can he build up Skytoss? Do you have a mothership? Sorry, do you have a Stargate? No. No Stargate. Oof. So Trigger, he has no Stargate. He has to build up the Stargate and then the Fleet Beacon. Sorry, he still has the Fleet Beacon, actually. But has to rebuild the Stargate. There it is. Stargate's on the way. That should lead into Tempest. But it's gonna take a long time. It's gonna take a very, 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 very long time, especially with only one Stargate, so making one Tempest at a time. You could make an argument that in this position, maybe even Void Rays would be a little bit better. Void Rays are more mobile than Tempests, and you'd kind of like preemptively be getting ready for Corruptors. But I mean, I think in the end you want both. It's kind of what do you get first, right? Okay, we have the answer. Going for the first Tempest. Now, currently there are no Corruptors in any real number, so the Tempest should be safe. But I say that Corruptors are coming. With the Archons, though, yeah, the Tempest, they should be relatively safe thanks to all the Archons. Rogue, he's taking another expansion. He's taking the bottom 3 bases. This is dangerous. Rogue, he's now maxing out. Trigger is taking a lot longer to build up his own economy. So these are crucial expansions for Rogue. And things got very messy, things got very chaotic, but again, Rogue was the first to stabilize. And there's still no answer here for the Broodlords. Broodlord Retreat is wasting too much time. His opportunity is slipping away. Not at all. Like, Rogue is was still in a commanding position. The one thing that was only threatening him was the mothership, right? Was the lack of anti-air, but now he's kind of rectified that. As we have our one Tempest. Sebas barely gets away. Broodlords, they zone back the main army. Again, Trigger, he cannot engage. Just like previously, Trigger cannot engage here. Nice feedbacks. He needs more. Fungal in the mothership. Nice storm of the Corruptors. And we do get a nice storm, but the Broodlords just go to town here on the Grand Army. GG gets called, and Rogue, he will claim the series 3-1 over Trigger. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Rogue, he does claim the series. Again, Trigger, he did have potential here, but remember, he did kind of miss out on the follow-up on the Broodlord transition. Trigger, he was more than ready for the Ultras. Like, he was doting the Ultras, but he was not ready for the Broodlords. He wasn't ready for Skytoss. That did catch him off guard. Caught him off guard completely. If he had scouted ahead of time and recognized what was happening ahead of time, we would have seen a faster switch into Stargates, into the mothership, into Tempest production, in towards the late game. But again, Trigger, he wasn't aware of it. He wasn't ready for it. GG. GG, well played. It did go by unscouted. And with that, Rogue, he will advance on to the semi-finals. And we'll see who will join him. Who will join him in those semis, as we have one series left here tonight. It's going to be a ZvT between Serral and Bjorn. Let's go. Let us go. As we are getting to our first series into our next game.